Can anybody hear me? Let's have a look how this is working. Let me just get everything set up here for us. Let's go to the live screen itself. Yes, cool. We're almost ready to go. And exciting. Okay, so I'm just going to do some adjustments over here. We're almost ready to go. Just move the camera down a little bit. There we go. Okay, so everybody in the chat, can you let me know if you can hear me okay? I'm going to set up a new PC on the other side so I can actually read the chat while I do these live stream experiences, so they seem a little bit more fluid. Amazing, 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 amazing. Okay, so what everybody is aware that I'm going to be talking about Jupiter through Libra. I had to think about that for a while. This is super amazing because this is a video recording that I was going to do that was going to be uploaded today, and then Jen actually sort of inspired me to do this live, and I'm really, really excited to actually maybe do more of these where there's a lot more videos that are created in the moment and they're raw and unedited, and it's like a realness. And I think that I'm really excited about doing something like that. It doesn't feel nervous or scary. It's actually pretty fun because I get to engage with everyone. And so you're saying there's a little bit of feedback? Yes, that's probably because of the screen over there. Okay. Does that work now? Let me just, yeah, I've completely removed that. There should be no feedback now, at least. Okay. So, yeah, Jupiter through Libra video and some other teachings that are going to come in a live creation like this. So that's super cool. Let me just quickly get something. No, I'll leave it for that. Let's do this. Okay, great. So Jupiter in Libra. I'll just start straight away for everyone. And then also I wanted to let you know, just before I do that, after I've shared my thoughts on Jupiter and Libra, I'll, as the stream actually suggests, open it with a Q&A. So anybody that is wanting to then ask questions that are relating to their own personal ideas about what Jupiter symbolizes, what Libra symbolizes, and also anything to do with astrology and Jupiter and Libra. Okay, so I'll be able to then respond to questions that you might have regarding that. And there's going to be lots of other types of conversations where you can ask questions and be able to have answers come through in different ways with that. So enough with the babbling. Jupiter through Libra. So I think for me, I always have to draw the context of what does Jupiter and Libra do as the current transit is affecting us right now or shifting us right now, right? So Pluto through Capricorn is the base note for me. And even if we want to go even deeper into looking at the planetary south nodes of energies, then we can, you can unearth even more sort of deeper unconscious wave patterns that are affecting the way that we are evolving at this point in time. But I think just for the sake of keeping it not that heavy, Pluto through Capricorn is a very, very good, deep place to begin. And through the videos that I've created on YouTube, most of you have probably heard me share about what Pluto through Capricorn is. And the fundamental underlying reality that we are dealing with Pluto through Capricorn is the whole entire collective consciousness that is on the planet at this point in time is having their emotional, so all of our emotional experiences, all of our identities, the way that we have related to life, the way that we have understood, processed, the truths that we have developed, the gender role assignments that we have lived through, the ideologies, the perspectives, all these types of things that encompass what it means to be a human being has got an emotional attachment to it. How do you feel about it? And so Pluto through Capricorn has been like going into the depths of this emotional balance and this emotional centeredness that we all carry, and kind of like just caused chaos on a very, very deep level. And the way that that's actually been experienced for a lot of people has been the lives that you have been so heavily invested in. Now, we're talking 2008, but I would say that the wave of that Pluto entering Capricorn in 2008, that wave only began to really, really affect us in a very deep way when Uranus moved into Aries, okay? And of course, those squares started to take place in 2012. So what we're dealing with here on the most deepest fundamental level of our collective experience as we move through this time frame, this period of life right now, this way that we see the world unfolding and experiencing and how we're rechanging, that emotional reality is shifting, okay? And that center of gravity. So imagine like you're on a boat, okay? And you're in the middle of the ocean, and you're on this boat, and the direction that you've been going in and how you've felt secure and safe within inside of yourself, that you're on the right path, that has had this huge wave just kind of like alter that direction. And that altering of that direction has created the experience that all of you are having right now, and for me as well, right? This whole entire shift. So it looks like changing of emotional feelings towards family dynamics, changing relationship dynamics into a way that you would have never experienced before, moving country, moving home, all of these types of things, the way that you relate to yourself on your mobile telephone, and all of that type of stuff has been really, 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 really moving in a direction that supports a deeper process. And what the deeper process that you can really, really get to understand when you pay attention to it and you feel into it is like a fish tank, okay, that has such has got like algae on it, okay, and the water has become stagnant and still. And that fish tank has had somebody come up, pick it up, and shake it around, all right, so that all of the debris that's kind of settled down at the bottom has now come to the surface. And all of this type of stuff that's come to the surface, you can imagine how the water has changed color, because on the surface it looked okay, and now all of a sudden the experience of what was lying beneath the surface is now risen, and we're like, oh my God, we don't even know how to deal with this stuff, let alone know what it is, okay? Imagine the type of psychological confusion and uncertainty and fear and panic that is what this is about. Like all of this type of stuff just arriving and just being like, I have no idea what's going on. And as Pluto transits through Capricorn and it really, really gets underneath all of this type of stuff and it brings it all to the surface, the psychology and our electrical systems just begin to freak out. So of course, we begin to start looking at life in a more like deeper way, which is the key, right? The key is that underlying question of what is going on that allows us to say that there must be something more to this experience than what we have been using as a way of as a model of evolution, right? Okay, so it's just kind of like the framework has sort of allowed itself to be rattled, and of course that's what's bringing this to the surface. And so we start looking at astrology on the internet, right? And you begin to like find yourself looking at astrologers as an example, and they start talking about these type of planetary alignments and this, that, and the next thing you're like, oh, okay. And I'm talking like 2013, 2012, right? Even, and that period of time onwards. And you start kind of like searching, and all of a sudden you find yourself 3.5 years later, 4 years later, sitting at this live stream going like, this is interesting. This is what I've been going through. This is what I've been feeling. And here you're beginning to recognize this process of this underlying intention, which is to bring to the surface deep emotions, deep feelings of something that has been buried for such a long period of time, and that has been buried due to certain circumstances, and that hasn't been awakened within us at all, right? So we've just kind of lived very much in this mental construction. And as these shakeups are taking place, we're like, oh, okay, hold on, whoa, there's something deeper going on here. And of course, this is now beginning to spiral out. And this emotional reality that I spoke about right in the beginning, that shift has begun to now settle for us, okay? But when I say settle, I don't mean it in the sense that it's like, oh, it's okay, it's calm, we're good, like everything's okay. It's more along the lines of like, there seems to be more of a consistent feeling of like, okay, this is what it's all about, right? We're trying to figure out this awakening within ourselves, this realization that there's a deeper experience to life, and what does it mean for us? Like, that would be a massive question. What does it mean for us to have this awareness awakened in us? And yeah, what do we do with it? Like, what's its intention? And maybe even those questions in itself are still too mental. But you understand the point that I'm trying to put across here in terms of this experience. So many people begin to sort of go on to types of meditation retreats. You see different types of people have different types of, like people move to Costa Rica, they go and live on islands where they're very much detached from the Western world in that sense. And just this whole kind of revolution of people looking for answers, exactly. And that realization that process of looking for answers is awakening the experience of something must be deeper within ourselves. And we're reshaping that emotional reality to saying, oh, okay, this is what it is. So when you take that entire sort of experience and you kind of put it over your head and then begin to look at the more smaller planets, like for instance, Jupiter, of course, you look at Saturn, for instance, you look at Venus, you look at, like Mercury and the Sun, and you look at all these little small transits that are taking place on a more monthly cycle. You begin to see that it's like a clock, that astrology and the nature of the solar system and as it's evolving itself is a clock that is got longer waves of evolutionary experiences, and then in those longer waves are smaller ripples, and that's where we are. We're looking now at Jupiter through Libra, and the Jupiter through Libra representing an element of that evolution that is held in the Pluto in Capricorn experience, okay? So it's like taking a big magnifying glass, looking at this clock and its beautiful synchronicities of how cycles intertwine with themselves, and then using this little like magnifying glass to just go closer and closer into, okay, Jupiter through Libra. And we know that Jupiter transits through the solar system constellation once a year. And so we've reached a point in this evolutionary cycle of experiences where it's in another cardinal sign. Okay, so we've got Jupiter an energy pattern, a frequency, a vibration that is very much rooted in the expansion of something, okay? The expansion of something. And what it does is it expands, and the energy asks for expansion, but it's not in the way that we think it does, okay? There are many ways in which Jupiter operates through this expansion process. It's asking us to open up to life, okay? Now, this is something that even myself, I can struggle with on a day-to-day basis, where it's like asking you to open up to life and really, really, really begin to trust an experience that is not really revealed to you, and that you've got to kind of just like allow for your own sense of inner centeredness, your own sense of inner what keeps you balanced and trusting to engage in experiences, in realities, in situations that you're unprepared for. And as you go through those experiences, you notice that there's a lot of wisdom that gets gained through trying, okay? And to me, that's a really powerful way to understand a Jupiter transit. Because Jupiter in itself, as it expands, as it opens you up, it allows for you to trust in something that you don't know what it is, but you're experiencing it, because when you experience it, what comes back at you is life. And that wisdom that you gain from that becomes the sort of like philosophy, the direct experience, your inner truth, your inner knowingness. That is not from a belief system. That is not developed from higher intellectualized knowledge or anything, but natural, organic, emotional, mental, visual realizations that occur within yourself as you move into this experience, right? So the process of Jupiter moving into Libra is now allowing us to then experience an expansion of what I call co-creative and co-conscious relationships. So if I had to step back a bit here and talk then a little bit about the nature of Libra in itself, and then go with the reasoning behind co-creative and co-conscious relationships. Libra in itself is a cardinal sign, okay? And it's the third cardinal sign within the natural zodiac. So we've got Aries, we've got Cancer, and then we've got Libra, okay? Aries, and this is for anybody that's studying astrology, okay? So this is intended for you to understand the nature of astrology, so that when you're reading charts, you can have this information available to you, right? So Aries represents a new direction that's very instinctual, okay? It's an experience that has never been done before within your own psyche, and that's why the nature of Aries has this underlying feeling of insecurity and anxiety, because it's a new direction that has not been directly experienced before. And so as this new direction emerges and you separate from something that makes you feel secure, you begin to experience this new direction, cardinal energy. The Cancer archetype is more about a more personal, intimate sense of what keeps me safe. And it's also a shifting energy again. And when we get to Libra, what we are dealing with here is the nature of our self-identity, Cancer, in connection with another person's self-identity, okay? And how that interplay takes place. But what does it mean to have emotional realities interfacing with other emotional realities? And that's why Libra correlates to the nature of balance through relationships, right? Because the Cancer archetype in every single one of you is deeply rooted in how you feel safe, how you have balanced emotions, how you are operating through your own sense of what keeps you secure, and what are your emotions, what's your upbringing, what's the self-identity. So it's an ego structure. And its polarity point in Cancer is Capricorn. And Capricorn is about the center of that emotional reality. That's why if people are experiencing Pluto transit the 10th house or Pluto transit the 4th house, it can be very, very much like, Jesus, what is going on with this this experience of emotional it's like buoyancy. It's like, oh, I'm at sea and I'm just being knocked around at this point in time. And then eventually you come to this plate where you understand the true realization of Capricorn, which is, as I've mentioned before, the lighthouse that is in the ocean, on the rocky beach, and it's steady, right? The captain of the ship, it's steady. Even though there might be anarchy, it's like, I've got this direction. Emotional stability. So the Cancer archetype in the cardinal energy reflects our emotional realities when we engage in other people, and the other people is the Libra archetype. Okay, so when you're engaging in another person, how are your emotions and self-identity, your emotions, the Cancer archetype, self-identity, Cancer archetype, how is that interfacing with another person? So as Jupiter moves into Libra, what we are dealing with here in the relationship to Pluto through Capricorn is our emotional realities that we have developed and have created and have forged from Jupiter's movement from Aries up until Virgo, how those realities have been forged and now going out into the world and integrating and finding your tribe. But that tribe has already been found. It's now integrating your self-identity into that tribe. So one thing that was really fascinating to me as I watched this begin to become very, very powerful was how a lot of the websites and Facebook groups, like for instance, Collective Evolution and all these types of things, pre-Jupiter moving through Virgo, everybody was, I mean, there were like immense amounts of random, like there would be an internet post and you'd have spirit science, you'd have Collective Evolution, you'd have all these types of different Facebook pages, and everybody would just like everybody. And they would just like listen and absorbing, and it's just like all chaotic, right? And you could feel the noise in these group pages where everybody was just there, but there was so much contradiction because the massive amounts of information that were collected when Jupiter moved through Gemini was moved through Cancer and Leo, and there was just mass amounts of information and people were just all over the place, right? And then as Jupiter moved through Virgo, there was this massive cleansing process where you began to watch how whatever thing that you were interested in became funneled and like literally like carved into something very specific. So if you loved astrology and you loved motorbikes and you loved tennis, you would only like those pages, and then you would start to purify your Facebook feed with all the types of things that you didn't like because you were feeling so overwhelmed by the experiences. And now as Jupiter moves into Libra, there's this opportunity to now come out of the cocoon, which of course is the yin sign of Pluto, pardon me, not Pluto, but Jupiter through Virgo. Virgo is the void, and it's a yin energy, so everybody went back inside. Now as Jupiter moves into Libra, we're coming back outside, and as you sort of like come into this experience, you're like, yeah, that's the place I want to be. That's the place I want to be. That's the place I want to be. I've already cleared out all those things. And it's now like integrating yourself into the tribe. And that's when you will see your emotional self-identity has shifted, cardinal energy, Libra. And as that begins to take place, you will start to notice that Pluto's transit past 15 degrees Capricorn and onwards will begin to show you and reveal to you what the last 3.5 years have been about in a very, very big way. Because you're finding like-minded people that honor and validate your own inner space. And you won't be in this deeper conflict of, you know, this is what this person believes, and you find yourself in arguments around this experience. You're just like, look, that's that person's belief system, that's that person's ideology. Fine, fantastic, that's your fractal, have fun. I've found my tribe, and this is who validates me and keeps me in a place where I can understand my individuality. You understand? So, but there is a catch to this Jupiter and Libra experience, and it's not all fantastic. So don't, you know, like, it's not like, okay, cool, now we've just found these guys. The balancing point of this experience is that unfortunately, Jupiter will be making it quincunx to Neptune in Pisces. Okay, so Libra and Neptune, pardon me, sorry, Pisces and Libra are not friends. in the zodiac. They can't see each other, so that's where we will find ourselves being very disillusioned around experiences. And what was I going to say? Yeah, and then also Pisces and Jupiter in terms of the archetypes themselves. They are also not going to be able to see each other for a period of time. And then, of course, you've got Jupiter squaring Pluto, and you also have Jupiter in opposition to Uranus. So, you know, the positive side of it is that we will be having these emotional experiences where we'll be starting to find and interrelate with people that validate our individuality, and we'll be expanding this way. And it will progressively become more and more positive for us. But on a more personal level, the experience is something where a lot of the ideals, and this is the key here, okay? This is the Jupiter experience of putting yourself into the thing, understanding what it's about, and then learning through how Jupiter's going to kind of like help us become a more co-creative and conscious of our experiences and relating, okay? And it's going to work like this. Well, this is how I perceive this process, okay? So around about the 29th of December 2016, Uranus, and just by the way, guys, I have created, I've already created all the artwork and all of the stuff, so I've just got to sit down and record it for all of your sun signs on how these angles will be affecting you personally, and at some point I will be recording them and putting them onto the YouTube so that you can watch that and have that information available to you in terms of how that's specifically working for you. But so let's get back to this, right? So we've got Jupiter moving through Libra, and it's co-creative, co-conscious relationships. Why? Because when you begin to now understand this experience of spirit awareness coming through to you, the sensitivity and the awareness of another person's reality, okay, Libra, the other awareness of the other person's reality, as you interface, you're going to begin to see yourself. And the way that you're going to begin to see yourself is when you begin to pay attention to how you are emotionally responding to relationships. So it's not about, and this is where the projection thing's going to come in. We're going to be more prone to projections in relationships. And when we are projecting, we'll be noticing where there are still unresolved emotional experiences that need to be like moved through us, or, you know, kind of like understood. Okay, so this is the spiritual work that will be taking place. So the self-reflected consciousness work. Let's put it to you that way. I like that because it's not got that stigma attached to spirituality. Self-reflected consciousness, the realization of self, and then when you are in a relationship and you're seeing the other, you're seeing yourself, and that acts as a mirror. And when you're paying attention, okay, so Pluto moves through Capricorn. You're centered within yourself, you're interacting with a relationship, and you're watching how your own subliminal experiences are influencing the way that you interact with a relationship, right? Okay, so this is nothing new. It's just that it's going to become even more sensitive to us, more available to us, where we're going to be able to see how we can hold space for other people to experience their relationship patterns that need to be purified and kind of like expanded upon and opened up, and new ideas about how we see ourselves. That type of stuff's going to come through, and we're going to be seeing another person for where they are, and you're going to be learning how you're interacting where you are. So it's like two people saying, this is where I am emotionally, this is where I'm emotionally, and respecting those boundaries of where they are versus expecting the other person to conform or to relate to you or to be at a place that they're not, and then getting like upset or angry or, you know, pissed off or whatever it is, when that relationship dynamic is not balanced. So there's like a really, really strong balancing act that's going to take place around co-creative and co-conscious relationships, right? So understanding your intention and motivations, understanding the other person's, and really just being sensitive to how those relationships are going to work, right? And it doesn't have to be something around blaming or guilt or shame. It's about being honest with yourself on an emotional level and then allowing those emotions to be present when expressing. Okay. And it's just a constant practice of allowing another person to be in an experience that is their own, so they can become more deeply intimate with their own emotional reality. And so they can figure out and experience through a reflection their own self-identity, their own space, their own emotional reality. And that's the point. The point here is this deep awakening of your own self, not of the other, not of the self, this like external ideology about what is relationships and so on and so forth, but recognizing and deepening your experience of who you are. What is your path? What is it that it means to be you? And even that in itself is so flaky, because it's not the actual emotional experience of bringing your awareness so deep within inside of yourself that you actually begin to understand what it means to be yourself on a multidimensional level. And so that experience will become very, very like highlighted for us, and we'll get opportunities to enter types of situations where there will be a need for balance and equality and fairness. There will be a need for learning to listen to where another person is and then responding to that situation relative to where you are, and allowing for that co-creative space to be present for both of you. It's like actually listening to the other person, what they're saying, but it's not even words. That's the scary thing. It's not words. It's hearing their emotional reality. What are they actually able to be saying? Like if you're listening on an emotional Scorpio level, you can hear that some people maybe are not ready to face a part of that experience because it's really painful for them. So do you probe the experience? Do you push it? Or do you kind of allow yourself to just say, okay, I don't need to go further in this experience. The person is not ready for that experience. I'm not ready for that experience either. And it's kind of just allowing that process to be there. And when we get to that point, we will understand sacredness, like true sacredness, not in a kind of new agey experience of just like, you're sacred, but actually living the experience of honoring another person's emotional reality and allowing your own to be equally there and seeing what type of dynamics actually play out. So that's this kind of like opportunity here. And because it's Jupiter, it's not like Saturn where it's like, look, grow up. Just subtle, just simple like that. Look, grow up. Just like deal with this crap. Jupiter's more of an opportunity of let's be creative. Let's try to see, or like allow yourself, like explore more, ask more questions, practice more. Because Jupiter, in my opinion, does give you a kind of safety net at the bottom where it says walk the tightrope. But if you do fall, there is an opportunity here where growth and expansion can take place. And the more that you integrate that kind of behavior pattern inside of yourself and cultivate that consciousness, I feel like that would really, really, really give a beautiful, natural, organic growth to how relationships can operate, where we're not operating through the old dynamics of unresolved patriarchal upbringing. And this is what it's really about. I mean, that stuff's just kind of like being purified at this stage. And to be quite honest, watching it more and playing it out in terms of a game is, I would say, probably the best way to interact with this, because it does take a seriousness with it, because of course you're wanting to like deepen your relationship to yourself through these practices, but always coming back down to watching that this is a natural cycle that's taking place whether we like it or not. And it's not to feel victimized by, but to enjoy how evolution is evolving itself through us, and that we are part of the experience, experiencing that at the same time. Does that make sense? So a wonderful opportunity for that to take place. Lastly, what I wanted to talk about was that Uranus opposed Jupiter, which I said will be taking place in December, the end of December. That's going to be an opposition that is going to ask for, or you're going to feel, to me, the dynamic of wanting to have freedom to explore your own sense of individuality, but also being able to feel a sense of how you can relate to people that are kind of supporting that role. So there's a kind of need for finding that supportiveness within other people. And that's how you learn the balance process. What are your needs? What are my needs? How can we co-create where your needs and my needs can be equally met and we don't sacrifice anything or overcompensate or, you know, create these type of experiences that are suppressing another person's feeling of their own spirits awakening in themselves. And that's what's the key, that balancing point. How do we allow for other people to also experience their spiritual awakening in themselves as you're doing the same in a way that's fair, that's equal, that's balanced. And it's this pattern that I feel that will actually completely and utterly move us into a new direction. So that's really, really amazing to see, to be honest. And then Pluto's square to Jupiter, I feel really, really deeply is going to correlate to this need for breaking down the expectations and social ideologies and ideas that we have placed on ourselves through conditioning, and also how we expect ourselves to be. Right. So I think with Uranus in Aries pushing the dial to say, come on, you know, find more creative freedom to explore yourself. The more you're going to demand that of yourself, the more you're going to notice that Pluto square Jupiter in Libra Capricorn, right? Expectations come from Jupiter, expectations come from Capricorn and Libra. So the expectations are this need for self-responsibilities, need for self-direction, but external commitments as well. And Libra saying, I have to be committed to the process. I have to be able to honor another person's emotional needs in that sense. And you're going to find yourself having to like just really, really get in touch with what does it mean to be responsible for your needs, but also be able to be aware of another person's and finding that balance again in that process. So that's really, really fun and exciting to do. And like I said, Jupiter in conjunct Neptune, that's where we're going to become very, very aware of where we are honoring our own space within ourselves, and we're bringing our awareness back to ourselves versus taking the energy out, bringing it onto the other person, and then realizing through the separation that the other person is controlling you or influencing you, where it's more about realizing that you are in this experience, you're being shown through your own self, through the other person, because they are a mirror, reflecting back to you what it is that you are saying or doing or expecting or demanding, and where there is unfairness in yourself and other people. Okay? Cool, guys. So I really hope that you enjoyed that sort of mass information overload experience. What I want to do is kind of open up to some questions for you all. So yeah, we'll get on with that at that stage. So any questions that I can ask for everybody now? The chat room's going to go ballistic. So let's see how well I can do with this. Okay. Let's try this out. Okay. Let's have a look. So the chat room is perfectly... Can you always do live shows from now onwards? It is something that I really, really do want to do. Yes, I love this new format. I was talking to Jen today about it. She inspired me to do something like this. I definitely want to. And I think that going forward, if I literally create the time and everybody feels like inspired by this format, then yes, live streams from now onwards would be something I would really want to do. Yeah. Okay, so Blue Sky Bliss 1, let's see if that's a question. Yeah, exactly. Evolving through something that is more multidimensional. Okay. Okay, so Karen was asking, let's have a look. So with this transit of Jupiter and Libra in my 3rd house and Jupiter in my 5th house, how might this affect my career as a copywriter? Well, the way I understand, okay. So let's understand that question. So, you know, when Jupiter, like, so you've got Jupiter in Libra, so you've Libra in your 5th house and Jupiter's transiting the 5th house. That's really interesting that you're a writer, copywriter. That's actually a perfect type of job for somebody that's got those type of those energies. I would just say that you would find yourself, and this goes for everybody, by the way, you would find yourself being more inspired to integrate the time that you spend in your day with spirit awareness. It's like, what does give me ultimate fulfillment? What is the meaning of my existence? And how that process works becomes more and more influenced, and taking risks, and where risks are given to you, like opportunities will come your way, and you've got to really feel into them. And if it feels like a risk, if it feels like something that you've got to kind of take a bit of a leap of faith with, spend some time really getting into that experience and ask yourself, is this something that really, really brings you joy? And that's something that I would encourage every single person through that question. Jupiter's transit through wherever it's going through in your life right now is asking you to expand yourself through trusting intimately in life, that there is a direction here for you that your spirit is calling you for. And it's about opening up to that experience, even if it feels totally scary. Now, I'm not suggesting by all means that you just got to kind of like quit your job because your spirit says so. I'm saying allowing yourself to consistently feel if this brings you joy, man. Like this live stream experience, it brings me mass amounts of joy, and I love it. And it does put me in a position where I know that if I had to trust that there's something good that comes out of it, then I've got to give it some time. I've got to allow for it to happen. And let's see what it takes you. Let's see where it takes you, because it will give you deep amount of knowledge that was never available to you because you never took that leap of faith that Jupiter's asking you to do, okay? So, Gabe, you asked a question. So the questions are going super, super fast. So I'm going to just see over here. Gabe, you asked the question, how can you give the dates for those events, please? I already have created all of the content, and I will be releasing 12 videos for every single person, where those dates are happening specifically, in videos separately, okay? But the ones that I'm talking about specifically, where Uranus will oppose Jupiter, Pluto will square Jupiter, and Neptune will in conjunct Jupiter, will be around about the 27th of December 2016, okay? So Orlando was saying Jupiter is exactly conjunct my Pluto in the 6th right now. Any insights? Again, when Jupiter conjuncts Pluto, and this is for the Pluto and Libra generation, this is a big deal. For the Pluto and Libra generation, you guys are going to have, because all of you are, including myself, are all governed by this Libra energy. So all of us have come here to learn about co-creating relationships that are validating our own inner emotional reality, and also existing in relationships that are honoring that validation. So all of us grew up having to learn what it meant to validate ourselves. And so with Jupiter moving through Libra on everybody's Pluto, you will get an opportunity at a soul level to say, I've had enough of relationship dynamics that are not validating that, or situations that are not validating my own inner expression. Okay? Could you begin a series on the 12th house? I'm not really sure. Can you be more specific with that question there, on that experience? Okay. So can you explain mirroring in great depth? Molly, yes, I will do that. I have a teaching that is ready to go called the Essential Needs. And that is going to be something that I will maybe want to do on a live stream as well, that teaches you about the mirroring effect. And that's just, the experience is when you're engaged in a relationship, when somebody's talking, I don't know if you noticed in certain types of like cultures, people actually like put their head down like that when somebody else is talking in sign of respect. And the reason why they do that is, well, for me at least, is because you're holding space for another person's presence to be there without your own presence enveloping it. And the purpose is to be aware on a telepathic level and listening deeply listening to what the person is, where they're coming from. Not listening to their words, but listening to their emotions, listening to the tones, listening to the vibrations, and being with that. And then as they kind of like allow for their own expression to be heard, then you come back into your like masculine role and you go, okay, and that's how you respond. So it's like really, really responding and listening from a deeper place, and not one from a more sort of like a more psychologically conditioned idea of what it means to be in a relationship, but actually feeling the soul when you're in a relationship, feeling where the soul's coming from, feeling where they're coming from in that experience, and deeply listening. Okay? So the mirroring effect, listening to where they are, and then when you're responding, also listen and pay attention to how you're responding. Where are you responding from? What is it? Are you responding from a space of fear? Are you responding from a space of feeling ashamed? Listening to the emotions and how that takes place, okay? Okay, how does Jupiter square Libra South Node play out as a missed step? So I'm assuming this is talking about Jupiter squaring Libra. So let's have a look. Jupiter square Libra South Node. Okay, Patricia, can you rewrite that question again? Are you saying that you have Jupiter in Libra squaring your South Node? If that's cool, then I'll go back to that answer for you. Okay. Inspired. Okay. Can you speak to the Libra, Uranus, Aries current opposition for Pluto and Libra generation with the Jupiter transit, my 12th house, also in general? Okay. So that's a really interesting question because, again, the generation of souls that have got Pluto in Libra, the generation of souls that have got this Uranus opposed Chiron experience, that comes back down to, again, the Pluto through Capricorn transit, because every one of you that is a Pluto Libra generation soul currently has gone through or is going through or is going to go through Pluto square your natal Pluto. So the evolutionary intention of the Pluto and Libra generation as Pluto transits through Capricorn is to deeply just like break down all psychological, emotional, and mental conditioning patterns that have been ingrained when you were growing up about what reality should be, what you should do, what is you, who are you, what your life is about, and to really begin to allow for that Uranus Aries freedom to like actually come to the surface and to say, this is where I want to go. This is my life direction. This is what inspires me. This is what allows me to follow a deeper calling inside of my life. And the Chiron Uranus opposition to me is that electrical system that's awakening within ourselves as we begin to experience spirit rise within inside of us. Like, what does give you ultimate like meaning? And what does it mean to live in a life where you give that experience every single day, that answer? What does it mean to live consciously through your spirit? Okay. So Jupiter in Libra, does it affect Sagittarius? I'm not really sure what that question is saying completely, Crystal. So if you could maybe reformulate that, that would be great. So the Jupiter channel, meditate on the good times in one's life and feel the vibration of Jupiter and how it, yes, that is correct. Okay, let's see something here. How would transiting Jupiter, Libra and Jupiter conjunct natal Pluto retrograde and that squaring the ascendant play out? So again, that's very personal, and I actually have transiting Jupiter in my 9th house at this point in time. And for me, what's occurring for me in my own personal story is a completely new way of looking at my life. But let me see if I can use my direct experience of that. What I feel will happen is when Jupiter squares your ascendant, you're going to feel this necessity for breaking out of the current. You can break out of the current limitations of your own belief system. So that's a really, really deep question because it's conjunct natal Pluto and it's squaring your ascendant. You're going to come across experiences within inside of yourself around belief systems and ideas that you have about yourself and about the world, and you're going to be confronted by the limitations that are in them. And so I would suggest to you that opening yourself up to a new philosophy or being excited about new ideas or new perceptions or trying something new out that is really, really coming from a place that is not physical, like not mental, but coming from a space that's more within inside of yourself. Like, I would maybe go and travel for a small period of time or book a holiday and just go on that holiday and just allow yourself to be present with those deeper visions that might be coming from your ability to leave the current box of life that you're currently living at this stage, right? So you're living a life right now, you've got your routines, etc. Give yourself a break, like literally plan a holiday or something and go out and do something random and spend time just feeling what you feel about your life and what you would like to do to change that. Okay? Hope you can answer going to volunteer reading with little kids. Okay. So Carolyn, hope you can answer going to volunteer reading with little kids. Okay. Okay, thanks so much. What Inspired 709 said. I hope that answered your question regarding that. Okay, so let's see. Jupiter in retrograde and Aries in the 11th house. What's your take on that? Jupiter in retrograde in Aries. Look, when you've got Jupiter retrograde in your charts, you're coming into this lifetime where your way of extracting knowledge and listening to knowledge and developing your belief system is very much about your way. So the perspective that you need to develop and cultivate within yourself, which you already do, but just to honor it more, is to realize that you have come here to really, really individuate what you believe. Even when it's going to challenge a lot of people's perspectives, that's something that you've come to understand about yourself. Like, what is your individuated belief systems? So you're almost like a little bit deaf when it comes to listening to other people's beliefs or experiences, because you've come here to figure and find out for your own what that's about, okay? All right, so let's have a look. What would it mean when Jupiter squares my nodes and opposes my skip steps, Venus and Aries? Jeepers creepers, that sounds like a ton of stuff there. What would it mean when Jupiter squares my nodes and opposes my skip steps, Venus in Aries? About where Uranus is. Okay, so you have Venus in Aries, if I understand this correctly, and your Venus is squaring your nodes, and you've got Jupiter in Libra in opposition to that. I would say that this is a time where your skip steps are going to be very, very like highlighted for you in a very, very big way. Now, the nature of those skip steps, I don't know. So that's something that I would suggest consulting an evolutionary astrologer for, because of the nature of skip step being something that's a very, very deep process and it requires like a lot of attention to. So that would be my best response, like actually go and work with an evolutionary astrologer on the skip steps to figure out what that is. And that's a kind of Jupiter thing, like learning about them, expanding your sense of awareness around what your skip steps are. But if I were to say just off the bat on an archetypal basis what skip steps are with Venus, there is something around the nature of your inner and outer relationship to yourself that is needing to be fully integrated. So I don't know if your Venus is in opposition, needs to be integrated into your south node, into your north node. So that's where I'm suggesting, again, work with the evolutionary astrologer, because it's about, see, if your Venus was in your south, like needed to be resolved to your south node, you'd be needing to look at your past. Whereas if it's in your north node, you'd be needing to look at what dynamics are on the north node, okay? But that is something that I would suggest is you should do, okay? All right, so Toby, is your 12th house loaded too? I feel your pain. Okay, let's see what else there is. Okay, let's have a look. I have Jupiter in the 11th house in Libra natal. So it's a Jupiter return for me. I have 4 planets in Libra in the 11th house. So I guess it's about, okay. Yeah, I would do the same. With Jupiter transiting on your Jupiter return, this is a great opportunity. You're going to grow a lot and allow yourself to really, really find a group dynamic you will be needing to find a group that really, really supports your ideals, and then sticking to that group as they support your ideals. But when they don't, when the group dynamics begins to, and this is something you're going to experience your whole life actually. Let's have a look. So when Jupiter is in Libra and you're coming up to Jupiter return, begin to explore different types of philosophies that are held in different types of groups. Each group has a different philosophy of what they do. I would consider exploring different types of groups to see if those people support something that is underlying what you are inspired to do with your life, okay? All right. Okay. So let's check this out over here. Guys, I'm going to be online for another 5 more minutes because I need to do some other stuff, but yes, exactly. So I'm going to leave within the next 5 minutes, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this discussion today. I really hope that I got to give information to anybody that was wanting to learn about Jupiter. Like I said before, with Jupiter transiting through Libra, I'll be continuing with more support around this archetypal structure. So it's not going to be something that is just bound to this video. Essential needs will be coming up, those 12 videos that will be talking to you about what will be changing for you, each of your sun signs. So they'll create that and upload that as soon as I can. Okay, so there was the crystal quickly. Sorry, one question. So I'm a Jupiter in Libra. How will it affect Sagittarius during this Saturn return? Okay, so I'm assuming you're getting a Saturn return through Sag, right? To be honest, when you've got your Saturn return coming up, it's a very difficult experience to talk about because you do need your natal Pluto. I do need to know where your natal Pluto is. I do need to know a lot about the nature of the kind of dynamics that are in your chart. But I would say that as your Saturn return is approaching and is going, you would begin to know more about what is fair for you and what is not fair for you. Okay. What type of belief systems do you have that supports relationships that support your own feelings of being accepted and what you believe? So let's say, for instance, you believe in astrology and you believe in, things like shamanism and stuff, and you find yourself in a group dynamic where people are not validating their experience. It's time where you're going to have to look at yourself and say, do I want to belong to a group that is no longer right for me? And how do I begin to emotionally find group dynamics that do support or honor what it is that I feel is right for me? Okay. So that would be something there. All right, guys. Thank you so much for allowing me to share this with you. I really, really hope that you enjoyed this a lot, and I will be most certainly trying to do much of this going forward as well. Okay. All right, guys. Have a fantastic week, and I'll speak to you later. Take care. Bye-bye.